Hello everybody and happy 2025. I hope you all had the best festive season and the happiest new year, celebrating or doing whatever you wanted to do. It is the 2nd of January and I am coming back to my regular routine nice and gently, which I feel is the most, I feel like it's like the best way to do it, because I feel like suddenly throwing yourself into everything and you're trying to do a normal routine can lead to you failing to do that. And, you know, we don't want to have those vibes in a new year, you know, feeling like you already failed. So I always like to try and build up slowly, be it with going back to work, be it what I'm doing at home, and in my habits and my routine. So that's what I'm doing. So I didn't have much sleep, obviously, going into New Year's Day because we were up late celebrating, which was so lovely. And so we had a fairly early night and I decided not to set an alarm. I was like, I'm not gonna start my normal waking up routine and I'm slowly gonna get back into that. So I just kind of went with what my body needed because my body was feeling very tired, and also like nourishing my body with what it felt like it needed. So today, you know, we had proteins and carbs. Again, one of the things on my to-do list is to do like a food shop list and obviously get some food in, because obviously once you come kind of through the holidays, it is just cheese. And we can't just eat cheese for the foreseeable future. So I have a list of things I'm getting through today. I don't actually kind of start any kind of work things in terms of like teaching until tomorrow, and again it's like a slow build up of going back into full swing of teaching. And my first full day back is the 9th, so I'm very lucky. I've got like a really nice long period, but I am doing bits here and there, teaching wise up until then. But today is a nice clear day, so I wanted to kind of get some things done. The thing I have done today so far is to tackle my emails. I feel like it's such a daunting task, but getting that done and feeling like I'm on top of my emails, and I've sent some emails, so that's really, really good. And just kind of getting on top of that was what I needed to do. I just had lunch. I've also lit a candle. By the way, like, this is something that I want to keep doing. This is the first time I've done this year. I'm trying to keep to the 12 days of Christmas. Now, the 12 days of Christmas goes all the way up to, I believe, the 5th of Jan, which is when you then take all your Christmas decorations down. So I'm following that. So I'm still in Christmas jumpers. I have a Christmas candle going. I'm still listening to Christmas songs because I feel like, you know, it was meant to be there for a reason, you know, so I'm following that. So I'm extending the Christmas period until the last day of Christmas. So what I have been doing between kind of Christmas and New Year is starting to plan everything for this year. So my goals, you know, my journal spreads. I've been reflecting on the past year, which has been really, really good. So I feel like I wanted to kind of do that now, like go through all the things that I learned in 2024, like a brief overview, and then go through my goals for 2025. And I'll also quickly show you my spreads as well. And then after that, I'm going to grab some fruit because obviously, you know, I'm trying to get into the health kick slowly, get all the cheese out of me. So let's quickly go back over 2024. And what I'll do is I won't show you my spread for 2024 wrap up. I will do that for my 2025 one because I feel like that's prettier. So like some of my main goals for 2024 were to be saving for a deposit for a house and also up my earnings, which I did both of those, which was great. I was also trying to put in some healthy saving spaces for saving for different things, which I also did. I have had loads of like mini goals, so I'm not really kind of going into those. What else? I think the overriding thing of 2024 was the fact that I gave myself time for me. I really found like I discovered myself in 2024 in terms of giving myself time to be me, and also to like try new things. Like I feel like I'm in my crafting and my cooking era. I've always been a baker, but I've never really thought myself as someone who cooks, and I feel like I have now, which is great. So I found like the things I love and I enjoy, and I think that was the main win for the year, because in other areas it wasn't so great. Like the acting industry is still recovering so much, and from the sounds of it, 2025 is going to be really busy, but 2024 was a year of not a lot of work going on, more people up for roles. So even though I had a great year of like self-tapes and stuff, I think I'll go through that. I'll quickly show you like my roundup of my self-tapes and things. So I had 24 self-tapes or auditions, 19 were for commercials, which is, I normally find that I do have a lot of commercial tapes, but like normally there are more kind of TV film stuff thrown in. There was significantly less. And I've heard this from other people as well. Their things have been mainly commercials this year. 5 of the tapes, so yeah, 19 were for commercials, 5 were for kind of TV films, and then I think 1 short film or 2. And out of those I had 3 recalls, which is really, really great. And I booked 1 job, which was an indie film, which I got myself. And yeah, it was really unusual because, you know, I think everyone kind of after the strikes were like, yeah, it's going to be great. And it still just took a whole year to recover, you know, and a lot of stuff wasn't happening. What else did I achieve? I also started getting into like doing solo dates. So taking myself on solo dates and like doing things myself. And that I found was part of that discovery, which I really, really liked. My reading goal I smashed, which I was not expecting. I originally put down to read 35 books and I ended up reading 73, which was like, how did I do that? I found I was just, again, putting reading more into my routine for my well-being, and also as well listening to audiobooks. I don't care if you think audiobooks are not for reading. You do you. I always listen to my audiobooks consciously, so there's not just one in the background when I'm trying to do work. I'm really consciously listening to it, and it's like I'm one of those people that when I read, I hear my voice in my head reading. So for me, just having that same thing but coming through my ears is exactly the same thing. So there you go. But I still read more physical books than I've ever done before, which is really, really cool. I mean, like my personal goals I was really happy with. You know, I was trying to like shop locally, which is something I want to carry on in 2025. Planning to hopefully buy a house this year, which was really great. And then, yeah, my career goals weren't hugely great. I wanted to try and finish my teaching studying this year, but unforeseen circumstances meant that that's now going to happen next year. That's fine. And also as well, like, yeah, just working on my acting, like making connections and practicing filming self-tapes and character studies. I feel like I really smashed that in 2024. So in terms of that, I like to see other areas of my life where I've won. Like I feel like you go through seasons, don't you? Like I feel like my acting career was in like its late winter, early spring season. And I'm hoping that 2025 will be the spring summer of like, you know, building things up. But yeah, I was really happy that I did have a lot of wins that year. In terms of reading, I had 3 favourite books this year. I had The Dictionary of Lost Words by Pitt Williams, which I just adored. The Song of Achilles, which broke me, by Madeline Miller. And then my favourite book of the year was The House of the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. And the reason for that is just I just could not stop thinking about this book after I read it. And I read it fairly early on in the year, and I just could not stop thinking about it for the rest of the year, which made the decision for choosing the book just sat a little bit easier, because all 3 were really strong books. But I was really chuffed with that. So I'm hoping this next year is gonna be a great reading year as well. Okay, so let's talk 2025 now. So I've got on my previous pages, I've got like my personal goals, a couple of those things. I won't kind of show that in too much detail, but some things I want to do is I want to buy my own house in 2025 with my partner. I want to up my cardio, especially I really want to get into skipping, and kind of more of my endurance. Like my stamina for like hit and when I'm dancing is really good, but I want to do some like more kind of endurance type of things. So that's on there. I want to keep crafting, but I also want to be making a lot more, like in terms of giving to people. So making a lot of gifts rather than buying them online or whatever. Or if I am going to buy gifts, I'm going to buy them locally and just be a bit more conscious with my spending. I think we're all guilty of a few impulse buys here and there. But it's just some little things on there, which at some point I'll go into a little bit more detail of. But I thought I would go into my reading part of my bullet journal. So I've got my 2025 goals here. So I want to try and read 50 books. I feel like I'm definitely going to hit that and then some, but I like to lowball it because last year I smashed it. So I want to keep that feeling of accomplishment going along. Only buy books that I'm 100% excited about. Like I have a lot of reading interests, and I do find that if I'm going book shopping, I normally pick up stuff because I have a really broad range of reading interests. So this year I'm only going to try and buy books that I'm like super excited to read. Like I want to pick up ASAP type of thing, especially like new releases. So I have got a section in here for new releases. I want to try and read one non-fiction book a month because I have so many and I neglect them a lot. So that's something I want to try and get to. And also my ebooks, I just buy them when they're 99p and then they just rot on my Kindle. So I actually want to read them. So I'm going to consciously be picking up my Kindle more, not just when I'm like out on a train somewhere or traveling. I also want to be utilizing the library more. It is a little bit hard. I have kind of looked at some of the books that they have at the moment, and I don't really have any of the books that I have on my TBR for this month. So it might just be a classic that I end up picking up, or an audiobook. And I also want to downsize my physically owned TBR and my digital TBR. And hopefully some of the challenges that I am in with for the book clubs that I'm in will help with that. This page is going to be my red shelf. So I've already drawn my first shelf there. But I'm definitely going to be adding to that as I read more. And then we've got my spreads for all the different book clubs and the challenges I'm in. So I've got Celine's book club for stuff Celine reads, and also there's Book Wanderers. I nearly said, I don't know what I said then. The Book Wanderers. So we have a monthly read on the Stuff Celine Reads book club. And then we also have a seasonal read for the Book Wanderers book club. So I've got my spreads there, all for that. I then also have her challenges of downsizing your physical TBR, and we've also got one for the digital one. I just need to print out the little thing that she did for that, just because it's just going to be easier than me trying to draw it all. And also her spreads are really pretty, so I wanted to make the most of those, and the little things she does on Canva, I want to use those because they're really, really cool. So that's that. And we also do an Around the World in 12 Books challenge, which we did last year, and I actually completed, which was quite something. So we're doing it again this year. So I've got my little spread ready for that, to put the books on that I read for that. A little monthly overview. So this is what I'm going to be reading each month. I'm going to put it here. And then I'm also going to, I stole this from Inkstain Realms spreads that she did for her 2025 one, and did a little highlight thing, which I thought was such a good idea for like your book of the month. Because sometimes when I'm trying to like decide on what my book of the month is going to be, I kind of get a bit lost in my Goodreads trying to find like my highest rated book. So I think by putting it here, it's going to make my life much easier for when I'm doing my book bracket. I then have my series tracker, which is completely out of hand. These are all books that I've read the first in the series in and I own, and I want to keep reading. There might be some that I kind of don't carry on with, but I've put them on here anyway just in case. And then I'm highlighting the books that I've read in the series, and most of the time I do have the next book or the whole series. So again, I won't be buying too many books, but I'm going to be delving into this when I need top-ups for my monthly TBRs, etc. And it goes on for quite a way, and it keeps going, and there we go. And then I've got my new releases part. So this is going to be, oh, there we go. This is going to be, I've made a list of all my anticipated reads for the year. And I have added a few. I've left some gaps in between, so I can add some like I have done here, because I forgot that I had already pre-ordered that one. So I can be consciously buying books that I'm excited about as well. So there's some really exciting reads coming up for the year. And then I've got that over there, and then I'll see some space for new stuff coming out in November and December that haven't been released yet. Now this is going to be my book bracket. Now I realised that last year when I was doing mine that I need to fill it out as I go rather than drawing all the little brackets, because obviously there's different titles, have different length names, and trying to squeeze it in was a bit of an annoyance. So like I did, let me see if I can find my book bracket from last. Yeah, here we go. So as you can see, I had to squeeze in a few. So I'm going to basically do it as I go along, and then I'll do the same thing here. I need to print out my ones for last year, but I'm going to do the same sort of thing there. Oh, that's skipped forward a little bit to Jan. Oh, there we go. So that's my book bracket, and then my reading year at a glance, and then just some stats which I normally get from Storygraph. And then we're on to January and my January spreads and all that fun stuff. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with the bullet journal spreads. Hello everybody, it's the next day. I have had a great time planning, like a really great time. I'm thriving in my planning era. So a couple of things that I didn't show you were me, let me go through my list that I did. So I filled out my new diary. Can we just appreciate this? This is one from a brand that I've actually bought from before, and they're called the AIM Studio Company on Etsy. And they just have really nice, simple diaries. I wanted one this year that kind of had more of like a simplified like calendar in it, but it also has some different goal things in here, and it has a habit tracker for each week. And I just really loved how it looked. And I realized I do not need a massive kind of time slot diary like I did last year. I just found that towards the end of the year I wasn't utilizing it as much as I probably should have. So I've gone back to that, especially as I'm using Notion more for my like day-to-day and weekly planning. So I filled all that out, so that's all good. And then I did a food shop, very interesting, boring things. And then I did some tidying up. So this first part of the year has just been very much kind of organizing. I am now going to do something that I'm quite excited about. I'm going to show you. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do, which seems a little extra, but again, I feel like this is going to really help my organization into this year. I got a recipe folder for Christmas this year, and I normally have been saving the recipes that I like on my phone, and also in this folder here, which mainly has baking things in there. But I want to obviously put it into a more organized space so that when I want to go back to a recipe that I have really enjoyed making and that has gone down well, I don't want to be searching through my phone for it. I want it to be to hand. And it's got like a little index thing in here, look. So it's kind of got a little index page. And obviously with a book, it can get filled up, whereas a folder, I can just keep adding to it and taking things out. Yeah, so I'm going to go through all of my recipes on my phone and add them in here, which is very exciting. I feel like such an adult doing this. Hello everyone, we are into the first proper working week of January 2025. I still can't even say that properly, 2025. It's been a nice slow steady start back, as I said before. I have my first proper day of teaching today, and I'm just kind of getting on with little things that need doing, not overwhelming myself too much, or like the little niggly admin tasks that need doing. It potentially is the coldest day of the year today. It is very frosty and cold outside. Could get down to like -6, I think, around here, -6, -7, which is very cold. So I have full-on thermals on today. And I think it's not going to be too bad on the roads when I do have to drive into work. But I've just been keeping warm in the meantime, just doing some things, as I said, admin things to keep me going. I am going to do my first bake of the year, which is very exciting. I am going to bake a golden syrup cake, because I have got a nice big bottle of golden syrup that I want to make a little dent in, and do that. So I'm going to take a little bit of break from my admin tasks and go and do that now, which will be very exciting. The weird thing is as well, is like the house feels so bare without all the Christmas decorations. I don't know how you feel about it when you take the Christmas decorations down, but I always just feel like there's a little hole in my heart because I love Christmas so much. So I'm trying to, again, help with that kind of slump that always happens after you take the Christmas decorations down. I still got some little decks up, which are kind of wintry ones, and to cheer myself up, I have bought myself a winter mug to help me now. I've put my Christmas mugs away. Very sad, I know. It will be here in a couple of days time, so I'll show it to you when it gets here, either in this vlog or the next vlog, depending on what else I fit into this. So, but yeah, let's go and do some baking. Better, we can see me now. Hello. It is a new week. This is my first proper week back at work, like I am fully working now. So my times like this are much shorter. I have, however, had quite a productive morning, which is fabulous. But I realised that as I was editing this vlog, that I haven't talked about my acting goals for the year. So I thought I would do that with you now. They are quite varied, but let me just scroll back, flip through in my journal, get to our 2025 page, which is escaping me. There we go, I found it. Last year in the acting industry was not great. It wasn't just me. There was a lot going on. Stuff was being made, but there were significantly less yeses for people. We were being seen for a lot of stuff, but the actual things turning into jobs was significantly less. Still had some great tapes, and I got seen by some people who I've never been seen before. So that was great. Different casting teams, etc, etc. But I want to obviously try and hopefully land a film or TV job this year. Last year I landed an independent film, which was great. Definitely something that I've never done, like the kind of role I've never done before as well. I don't know how that's gonna go. But that was great. But apart from that, it was a pretty dead year. I mean, some people didn't book anything, like nothing at all. So the fact that I booked one thing, I was like, that's a positive. We're taking those positives. We're hearing so much though about how many commissions there are for 2025, and it is very exciting. And I've already had a self-tape this year, which is great. I had one last week for the first week, proper week of January, which was fantastic. So I'm very happy with that and how that's starting off, regardless of whether I get it or not. So yeah, definitely something like that. I would love to have a character that has a few scenes in something, because that has been something that there's been in the past. I've had one where I was kind of in most scenes, but I think it would probably something kind of more on a slightly bigger scale. So I know for the fact that it wouldn't necessarily, it'll probably be like a guest role, I would say. In the UK, I've done ones where it's kind of more one scene type of things. But I would love to increase that to a character who has a couple of scenes in something. I know this might sound really silly, like actually just not going for like a big goal, but I find that sometimes if you set yourself too big a goal, it feels unachievable, and then when it gets to the end of the year, you feel like you've not made that progress. Whereas if you kind of gone a little bit further up from where you were last time, then it's a stepping stone basically. I would love that. Obviously commercials, I love doing commercials. So any commercials that come up are great as well, but film and TV is my passion, and that's where I want to be making moves. So that's going to be for that. That was a lot of that. The next thing I want to do is I want to be visiting the cinema more. I started doing this more in the second half of 2024, and I just loved it, and I forgot how exciting it is to go and see a film for the first time, be it a new release or something that is being re-shown, but seeing it how it's meant to be seen on the big screen with the surround sound. You know, it just makes it so much more exciting, and that's something I really want to bring into 2025. So I want to try and go to the cinema 12 times this year, be it going to see new releases, or, you know, when sometimes some places do like a £5 ticket for a rescreening of a film that's however many years old. I did that for Star Wars last year, and it was I'm just so glad we did that. So that's something I want to do. So equivalent to once a month, but I want to go to cinema at least 12 times this year. There's also a specific casting director that I want to be seen for this year. So I'm going to be trying to make some moves into trying being seen by them, because they've never seen me before. So I'm not gonna name names, because I feel like you know, I don't know, I just feel a bit weird about doing that. But there is a specific person that I would love to get in front of this year, and I feel like the last couple of years I've managed to do that for other casting directors. So I feel like I'm doing things right, but I just now need to tailor what I'm doing to that specific person and their team. So fingers crossed for that. And in terms of like actually, I sometimes set myself a goal of like numbers, which sometimes sounds again counterproductive, because the industry is so volatile and you don't have a huge amount of control over the yeses and the nos that you get. But I do reward myself for the no's, and that's something that I set myself a couple of years ago. I was inspired by a friend who did it, and I've found that when you get a lot of no's, sometimes it can be really disheartening. So to actually give yourself a reward when you hit a certain milestone of no's for that year makes the whole process, the creative process and the letdown after that, so much better. So this year I want to try and get 3 yeses in whatever. It can be it can be commercials, it can be films, short films, corporate, whatever. If I get 3 yeses this year, that's great. And I want to try and get 25 no's, because I hit 24 last year. And I feel like if the industry is getting a bump up, that one extra no could do it. Also, I have a job that I'm still waiting to hear about, or like I'm forgetting about, but it's not filming. I taped for it last year, but it's filming this year. There we go. Those are my acting goals for this year. So we'll see when we get to the end of 2025 whether I've achieved any of them or not. Let's hope so. Let's hope that the year for the acting industry is a better year than last year. Okay, I'm going to end this vlog here. Thank you very, very much for spending my first couple of weeks with January with me. I hope the first part of the year has also treated you well. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you would like more content like this. And I will see you in my next video. Mwah. Bye.